from? I don't even know.
Oh, shit.
The best part of the auto show.
I had one guy was like, that was my favorite Grants for me.
Nothing will ever surpass Tales of Grants.
That was good.
Oh, there might have been a couple like real drunken messes that surpassed.
I'm thinking a couple with like Dan Neal on them were particularly good.
Yeah, Dan just texted me. He's in town on this Aston Martin thing, which I guess is
Full line drive of all the Aston Martins, which
there's really three.
Basically,
there's three, right?
Three.
Is the DB9 still soldiering on right
Well,
now?
here's the thing: DB9S, right? GT. The DB9 GT is the one.
Okay. So is that a DBS with Virage bodywork?
No, because the DBS had this very specific bodywork.
Right, it had like
gone.
super, like Tokyo Drift bodywork.
Yeah. So that stuff is all
I
gone.
missed that, frankly.
It
It also had Altezza taillights, which I don't miss either.
I still think, I'm when it comes to design longevity, I think, Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the way they do their proportioning and stuff with the rules of thirds, it pretty much guarantees their cars won't ever be outdated.
Yeah.
Because all the best cars are kind of that same formula.
Yeah. Long hood, short back bar, low roof.
There's specific math to it.
Yeah.
It's like the size of the window vertical measurement is exactly half the distance from the ground to the base of the window.
Yeah, I've heard something from somebody else, like the height of a car should only be 2 wheel rim widths and shit like that.
Yeah, there
weird
is
rules.
formulas behind it, and that's kind of why all their cars look the same, and also kind of why they all look good.
Yeah, that's why the Fiesta looks so good.
I mean, it's interesting that they're doing a full line thing now.
Yeah.
It's sort of the end of an era. I mean, the next thing that's going to happen is that you're going to have AMG engines and electronics in it. You've got, now they have
New chassis presumably, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
No, it's going to be a modified version of the VH platform.
VH
Guarantee you the press release says that.
Well, the thing about VH is that it's a platform, but it's really more about bonding the aluminum. So I mean, it's like you can call it's modular, and they were modular before. I think before
The DB9 was the first.
Yeah.
First VH.
So it's a really flexible platform. I mean, what they need is a little bit more rigidity, maybe, but they still need to come up to whatever.
Yeah, I always thought they really only need gearboxes and electronics. Those were the two things that really kept them behind.
Well, I mean, when AMG is going to start providing it, and the next generation of cars is going to be actually not that long from now. I mean, after this year, probably we'll start seeing some stuff in 2016.
The PR translation of a full line drive is, we got to move some inventory. Everyone's going to be talking about these new engines. Let's have these journalists out, and they're going to write about how it's the end of an era, and so you should buy into the era, before you can't anymore.
Exactly.
The last manual transmission Aston you can buy. That kind of shit.
Speaking of manual transmission Astons, I just drove one.
Oh, it's back.
I got home on Thanksgiving break to my parents' house, and they had forgotten to tell me that it showed up. This happens in my family. They forgot to tell me when my Uncle George died 3 years ago. No, they all went to the funeral. No one told me. Found out later.
I thought you were going to say grandma, but
no.
Are you close with Uncle George?
No, it was great. It was my father's uncle. He was fucking old.
Well, wait a minute.
I give it a pass.
They know you don't care.
That was a storyline on Curb Your Enthusiasm, where his dad didn't tell his mom that he didn't want to worry. You didn't tell me Mom died.
I mean, it's real funny when it's on a show. When it really happens, you go, this is a little fucked up.
I've had it happen, though. My family was like, yeah, so it's sometimes like, oh.
It's weird. My family's not that big. That kind of stuff usually gets around. But this is just showing what LA really means when your family's from the East Coast. It means they just forget you exist. And so they didn't tell me. So I didn't bring the one-take case home or whatever. And I was just... And when I had taken a cab from the airport, so the whole first day I was there, I didn't even go in the fucking garage. No one said anything. Nobody said shit. I didn't go in the garage. Next day, Hannah had come up to stay with him. The next day, I'm gonna go drive Hannah home. Like, I'll grab the Audi. I go in the garage. I go, what the fuck? Like, nobody mentions this. Like, damn. So could have been doing
all your errands.
I could have been doing all my errands. like before you drove it because you go, well, you gotta keep this thing alive. You know what I mean? You gotta drive it or else blah 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 happens, whatever. But it wasn't like that fun to drive because the gearbox was so terrible. Now it's fun, like really fun, and like they put 3 pedals where there were 2 pedals, so I had to take off my shoes to drive it. Unless I have like driving shoes or some really narrow shoes, like my New Balances, like
Does the pedal box differ originally versus the manual and the automatic on those? Or?
There was never a manual. That car was only ever sold as an automatic.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there was no such thing as a manual Vanquish.
Okay, you still have a nice dead pedal there too, right?
The dead pedal has not changed. Yeah, the dead pedal's still there. Yeah, but but if I wear shoes, my clutch foot, like the left side of my clutch foot, hits the dead pedal. Yeah. So the shifter feels just like a Corvette. Like,
well, it's a T56, right?
The T56, the shifter feels exactly like a Corvette. The clutch is nice and easy. It's not a heavy, stupid clutch. It's effectively the same clutch. I don't even know.
Why would you do it differently?
It's probably the same clutch, frankly. Yeah. But it's fucking awesome. First gear is really long. Like even.
So once again, it's just like a Corvette.
Yeah. First gear is long. You could put, well, it's not like a Mustang back there. It's independent suspension, so, and I don't think it shares anything. It would be really expensive. I don't think you could do it.
But you don't need a 200-mile-an-hour car. You need like 150 miles.
Right. First, you go to 373 gears are exactly $37,300 for that.
They'd be really expensive. I don't know if you could do it. Maybe you could.
What year is that thing?
03.
You know what's cool about this is that they basically created a time machine for their car. It's like they didn't do something originally.
Yes.
So they now bring the car back to the past.
If you write them a check and send them your car, they will remove your car from the depreciation curve.
Right, exactly.
Your car is
exactly
just off. This car, I get it's easily worth more than what it cost to put the fucking transmission in. Because it is the only Vanquish you actually will want to drive.
It's like putting a new kitchen in a 1950s ranch around the corner in Culver City.
Yeah.
It's like you whatever you spend on it, you're gonna get it back.
And like,
so, is there any indication of the cars that they just launched?
They said between 50 and 70 out of 1,600 Vanquishes made.
That's actually a surprising take rate.
It's a high take rate.
Yeah.
Because the gearbox was such a pile of shit, and this just completely fixes it. And they remake the center console, so where there used to be an ashtray, there's now a shifter. And the top, like above, like even like they have on the new Astons, like above the climate controls is like P, R, and D, and they're each their own buttons. That they get rid of. They wrap it in the matching leather, and all that's left is the start button and the clock.
That's cool.
Is it too sparse, or does it still feel pretty balanced?
No, to be honest, it feels like a lot of space.
Okay.
It does feel like a lot of space up there, but they did a nice job.
Well, soon they'll be able to raid the Mercedes parts bin and then put a touchscreen right in the middle of your field of view.
Yeah, like an iPad glued onto it.
Yeah.
So what's driving? Because it first goes to 60, then if you're in any kind of canyon,
if you're normally,
the whole time.
Dude, it makes so much torque. Like it gets big torque from like 2,000 RPM, even less. It's like, and so. Normally, if you're just driving around, you shift out of first at like 25 or 30. Now that's at like 3,000 RPM. And then, you merge onto the highway in like second, and like you basically like, you could drive everywhere in just the first 4 gears. Like on the highway, you can go 80 or 90 in fourth gear. It practically doesn't even matter.
Third would just sound amazing.
Well, I had them wire the exhaust of it, which they said they do because the apples are like, they're not electronic. They're like vacuum lines, and so like something about like with the automatic and the way it worked with the computer, like you really close them, but like the manual, apparently it sounds really dumb if they don't leave, so they just know they're open. So now it sounds like fucking business all the time. And they put a Parrot Bluetooth thing in there, which is very nice and easy to use. And they didn't have to cut up the car to do it. They just mounted this little thing in the corner, and it like works great for my phone.
So you mean you're not limited to the 3 CDs that you put in there in 1999?
No, the one CD I put in there in 2004 is still in there. My Vanquish mix is still in there.
Third Eye Blind?
No, I'll tell you what's in. So what's on it? It opens with Salisbury Hill, and then it goes into Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster by Ghetto Boys, and then it goes into it's a mix. Oh, no, this is a mix. That's from the Office Space soundtrack. Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, the Office Space soundtrack. Yeah.
See, I was going to bet that it was going to be the Dante's Peak soundtrack.
And then inexplicably goes into What's the Story? Morning Glory by Oasis. Wow. And then, I mean, there's some Pearl Jam. It's an 04.
So it's 2004, circa 1998.
It's definitely an 04 mix.
So you have it timed so different songs would come on as you turn on this street, and then boom, Damn It Feels Good.
I definitely created an order in order to set the mood for the drive that I would be on, for sure. My only regret is that I put Ace of Spades on that CD by Motorhead, which some people may relate to this. The problem with Ace of Spades is it's very low in the alphabet in terms of alphabetical songs, and iPods, when you plug them in, play the first song alphabetically, and so every time I plug my iPod into a car, Ace of Spades comes on, and so I hear the first 4 bars of Ace of Spades, I want to fucking blow my brains out.
I get the White Stripes aluminum.
Now, there was one thing that I have to say I was not happy with, and apparently this problem occurred during transit. So the entire lower center stack has been remade, and there's around one of the edges like the glue that holds it or whatever is like kind of separated. And my dad said it was not like that in England, and that it must have happened on the boat with temperatures or humidity or whatever. And so I had to go back to the dealer and have them like repair that.
Oh well, you didn't pick the atmosphere option.
That's true. Yeah.
As soon as it's exposed to the
I didn't
atmosphere.
pick the interior holding together option. That was extra.
It's British.
When we drove the new Vanquish,
Yeah.
it had a small interior panel coming with it.
But the Aston Martin guy told me that behind that, because that was a pre-pro car, he said that was like an emergency tearaway with a kill switch behind it. That could have been bullshit. It could have easily been bullshit.
I would be like, why does this car need emergency kill switch?
Well, it was a pre-pro car.
Why didn't they tell us about it?
That was really the question. Because the Aston Martin has very few cars. It was like that red Vanquish that everybody drove.
Oh, yeah.
It had like a million miles on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing with them is that they're a small company.
They only have like 6 press cars. Yeah, so... but overwhelmingly, like, brilliant experience. Pilot Supersport tires also way quieter, softer sidewall. Nice. Remember, I had to sign. They made me sign a waiver because I said I wanted Pilot Supersports. And they go, no, we can only put the OEM tire on. I go, no, you will not put fucking Yokohama's designed in 2002 on this car. You're putting Pilot Supersports, and they made me sign a thing saying I won't sue them.
If you drive them when it's too cold.
When we put these pre-slashed tires on your car. They've been in a warehouse for 7 years. They're fun.
Let's go to Montreal in the spring and take the Aston and another car.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's just
Jaguar.
like really nice to drive and really good fun. And it's like totally fixed any issue I have with the car.
We need to go on a grand tour with that.
We must go on a grand tour.
It's a grand tour.
It is a grand tour. Like New York, Chicago pizza run.
Dude, we can go on a grand tour. The car is running and driving
We
absolutely
need to pick up. We need to get Mercedes to lend us a CLS 63, and then take that.
I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's a fair comparison to a new car. It's just.
No, but I mean, just for the tour.
Oh no, I want to drive the fucking car that I just waited a year to drive. Hell yeah. Aston Martin, bro.
Pizza Due versus Sunrise.
Hannah gets in the car and goes, "What is this radio?" It's like I got out of a Jag. I'm like, baby,
It doesn't matter.
I'm like, baby, the car is like 13 years old.
It's out of a concert.
Well, I pointed out all the parts that come from the car. The air vents are from all of them. The switches are from the Jag, keys from the Jag, radio and climate controls are from the Jag. The seats are the Recaros from the Audi S4.
Aren't your windows usually the same?
No, you have the big. No, you have the big bulbousy ones that were the same as like the Explorers and shit.
Yeah.
These are the same shape, but they're like lower profile, and the button moves less. Yeah.
So they had Nigel send them for 30 minutes.
They're the ones that use the Jags. They're the same Jaguar. stock was the same as a Jag.
Well, I mean, PHE you had, it was whatever they had. All used it.
Covered in leather and all.
Yeah, they, but I don't know. It took a long time. It was really expensive. There was some headaches involved. But I'll tell you something. It's fucking dope.
And it's a car that's
really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's not going to keep depreciating.
No,
that's the other thing.
It's been completely removed from the depreciation curve, and it's going to be just so much fun to drive it.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, I actually want to go drive it now. It's not even sure.
I mean, it's such a good engine. I mean, that 12, the fact that we're basically the end of the cycle. It's never going to. I mean, if there's another 12, it's going to be an AMG 12.
Yeah, this one is so genius. It's two Ford Duratec V6s stuck together to crank. It's exactly double the displacement and exactly double the horsepower of that motor. It's gotten more horsepower since then. The same engine still being used.
What was it back then?
460. Yeah, it's fine. It's a heavy car. It's a GT car, but it's it feels fast and powerful. The noise it makes is, especially with the exhaust wired open, is really nice.
Yeah.
And we shifted at redline. It's really, really good.
It's manual too, and you can let off from high RPM.
It's really, really good. But I had a really fun experience where I had to teach my dad how to drive stick again, because he hadn't driven stick in like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And we had to go out, and I was like, "Oh, Dad,
Did the Aston?
yeah." And I was like, "Did you drive it?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't think I really remember how to do things properly." And so I had to it was weird because when I was a kid, this happened to me, and now it's the other way. It's very funny.
Pops has to take off his shoes as well.
Yeah, he does. He has a nice collection of loafers that he can wear for it.
It'd be funny if you rented something manual that's cheap. And I don't want you to learn on the ass.
Yeah. No, the good news is if he breaks it, he can afford to fucking fix it. So, it's the coolest thing ever. It's real. Wait till we get back to New York and fuck around. It's really, really fun.
That's great.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's the right recipe.
It actually is. It's really, really good. It's fixed all the problems there. And the only thing that's weird now is that the nice indicator for what gear you're in, that only lights up when you go into reverse. I mean, it doesn't matter. I know what fucking gear I'm in, but it's weird to have like a dark circle there, and then there's some other lights that you can kind of you see the outline, and they no longer do anything, like the automatic button, and all that shit.
What's the shift knob like? Is it just leather?
I think it's exactly the same as the one you get in the Vantage. It's sort of just round.
It's an 8-ball.
Yeah.
It's not the Voltron leg.
It's not the Voltron. No. It's not the robot boot. No, it's not that. It's leather with a metal circle with a gear pattern stamped on it. It's fairly simple.
Standard.
If you look at it, it's weird because like in third gear, your hand gets an inch and a half probably from the radio. Because that console is a lot closer to you than in the newer cars. So you're in first and third gear, your hand gets kind of close to the radio, but like you don't hit it, but it just looks kind of strange. But it does fall like nicely to hand. So I drove it around so much. It was great.
That's awesome.
I got stuck in traffic. Like it was fine. You pull away from a stop sign and shit. You do not need to apply throttle. None.
Just idle.
Just idle, and you just release the clutch, probably 3-second release, and you can just idle away from the fucking light. It's amazing. There's torque at idle. It's great.
It's awesome.
It's so cool. V12, bro, it's best. So yeah, manual. They're gonna have some stick cars in this thing tomorrow.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, this is another problem that they have right now is that the only transmission they have that with the transverse thing that they've got is that Ricardo. What is it? The single clutch.
Yeah,
automated.
The shitty one.
Well, it's shitty.
It's Ricky Ricardo transaction.
That was an awful.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Exactly. All of our listeners understand that reference.
Exactly.
I'm old enough to get an I Love Lucy reference.
But no, it's.
Do you kids like show TV in black and white?
It's this big, and instead of it's like the size of a cube. Plastic.
It looks like it's GoPro wide-angle footage, but that's just kind of plastic.
What the hell were we talking about? Oh yeah, the Aston automated manual is fine once you get going. It's terrible, because it stutters and doesn't know what to do at low
But
speeds.
the ZF won't fit in it.
And the ZF won't fit in it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because if you can see what it does to the the Rapide, if you look in the back seat, the entire back seat is transverse. You know,
It's just a
ZF.
huge-
It's
yeah.
massive. It
Yeah.
takes up most of the space in between the rear seats. So, like,
It's a better way.
that's a problem. Yeah. So you know the new one. So I'm really sort of looking forward to the new Astons because yes, you have the AMG thing. You're gonna have a redesigned body structure that'll take into account that. So if you have a transaxle, it'll actually fit.
Didn't Aston say they were committed to sticks? Didn't they? Didn't they say they're committed to
They're
making
still gonna-
manual?
yeah,
I
but
think they were, right?
They don't make the.
They'll
they don't
probably
make,
always sell one somewhere.
Yeah.
You can still buy a V8 Vantage.
Oh
with a
sure,
stick,
Yeah,
right?
the
You can get the
Vantage GT,
Vantage
right?
And you can get a V12S with a stick as well now, right?
No, not anymore. Oh,
I think
not a
they
Vantage.
went back. The
Let's-
GT isn't the GT3 the V12 GT whatever the fuck it is.
No, the
with all the numbers
DB9,
letters.
the DB9 GT.
No,
That's
what
the
the one
problem
that
with Aston
Harris
Martin.
just drove,
They're
the
all
Vantage
just
V12 GT
Zagato.
something or other that you could get with a stick. I don't know. The V12 Vantage non-S with the stick is the one to have.
Yes, the
They're
one.
cheap.
What do they go?
Cheap as a
So that would be like
grand, but
2000.
those that's cheap.
2009, 2010. Right?
9, 10, 11. No,
Yeah.
10, 11, 12.
Okay, those were great. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
those were, and also, you know, I'm a big fan of the just the regular Vantage GT.
Oh, that was like the entry level one,
Yeah,
right?
the
Did
one
you
that-
drive that?
But it
thing?
Yeah.
came in at like what? Like
It was like 100
85?
grand, right?
It was $100 grand, but it was when you're basically cross-shopping that against the
Base 911 or something?
Well, no, the Jag, the
F-Type.
Jag F-Type S.
Yeah.
You can
That
get
was a
a
cooler car.
2007 Aston Martin Vantage V8, 1,400 miles.
Yeah, V8 Vantages are cheap. They are cheap.
They're good
Someone on
cars.
Reddit today posted a thread that was like, why are 10-year-old Astons so cheap? And I posted a rather lengthy reply, which included some of the maintenance items on my car.
There's that. I mean, but honestly, like the chassis is way better than you'd think it was for just as a driver's car. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's really fun.
really good.
Did the one you drive have the lipstick on it?
Yes, but I had the
the green one with the yellow.
The green with the yellow looks the best.
I like that one, the Mallard.
It looks tough.
But
Yeah.
like, there was a silver with red that looked okay.
That
I
wasn't
thought
bad.
was decent, yeah.
But
Right
you
now-
can delete the lipstick.
Right now, the V12 Vantage only comes offered as S, Roadster, or Coupe, and it's an automated manual, just like yours. But you can get the Vantage GT in manual if you want. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Vantage GT manual is fantastic. I mean, honestly, the automated manual is better now than it was before.
Oh, much
By a
better.
lot.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
software is a ton better. It's way faster. The bus speed is faster than the car, so they get faster chips in there. So it's
But
better.
here's
but,
what happened. Have you driven the Vanquish, the new one?
yeah.
Did you drive it when it first came out? Or did you
Yeah, I drove
recently?
when it first came out.
So when it first came out, it had that same gearbox.
Yes.
Now it has the ZF, because the ZF fits in the Vanquish. So the Vanquish gets the 8-speed.
That's
So I drove the Vanquish originally, the red one, and then I drove it one again at Pebble last year that had the 8-speed in it. It was a lot better. Like, it's good. It's like probably like the same as an F-Type, roughly. But what happens is, I think just the inertia of that giant engine can't adjust its speeds quite as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like even if the gearbox can shift faster, like getting the engine to blip and getting the engine to fall, it just, yeah.
That's why Ferrari is bad.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the trade-off. That they do the big flywheel. It's
Yeah.
easier to manage the.
What you get in return is that it's much smoother and automatic.
Exactly.
Which is how 90% of people do.
Right, because you put a small flywheel in that, try to get driving traffic.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to be
a nightmare.
nightmare.
But it was better. I think if you get to drive it tomorrow, you'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah,
The Vanquish is badass. The new one. It's awesome.
well, the Rapide has had the 8-speed. I have driven the Rapide with the 8-speed, and that is fantastic.
I saw one of those at San Francisco Airport, and it was very surprising.
You don't see them anywhere. You know what you don't see are the repeat S's. Because you
Yeah,
can spot
yeah.
those. I think we know why you don't see them. Because people don't care about the extra power. They say take away that giant mouth.
Yeah. Well, and also the rear seating areas.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly,
fit it back.
you could.
I
can't.
There's no way that is to fit back there.
No, I couldn't fit it at all either.
And you could, yeah. There's not because it's a tiny. It's almost like remember your H1. It's sort of like it's like sitting in the front seat of the H1 with that huge console, but there's this big area in the middle of the rear seats that is all transmission.
The H1 actually got its seats from Boeing. They were coach seats from an EasyJet. That's why they're terrible. Awful.
But they do float if you crash in the water.
Speaking of driving
Nowhere.
And anyway,
I needed Spinelli to drive my car home last night, and he almost, let me see if I got this right, almost did an accidental brake stand in front of a car he thought might have been a cop.
All right, no, what happened was, I get behind the wheel of the Crown Vic and I go, wow, you know, the engine was really responsive. I thought that you did engine stuff to it because it doesn't
do the engine. I started
they drive better than you remember them driving.
I was expecting like really shitty throttle response, but like your car is actually like it's good. So I was like, let's see if we can do a brake stand, and then I started to do a brake stand. And I looked in the rearview mirror and I was like, oh fuck, that's a cop.
And it wasn't like a side street. It was like Main Street. We're next to other cars. It's 8 p.m. There's people out and everything. And I heard like,
no, I wasn't gonna do like a full.
I mean, you
brake
can
stand.
give whatever ticket you want. I'm just saying.
But I also forgot that you had limited slip. So that's a whole other thing. No, but that car was fantastic. No, because you were like,
well, I heard, and I look over and you're looking in the mirror and I'm like, what? You're like, I think there might be a cop. And I was like, what are you doing in the first place?
I was like, yeah, it's like it's LA. Of course I can do a brake stand in the
It's
middle
not like
of...
it's Detroit. Like in Detroit, you can drive around and every time you do a red light, you can do a brake stand. And like, that's okay. Nobody gives a fuck.
They recommend you making the brake stand to hide from the potential bumpers and cars.
Yeah, and they also tell you not to stop at red lights at night.
Right.
Which I think is the best advice I've ever received.
You're right,
from
that is
police officers.
Make the smoke screen.
That smoke screen, right. No, but it's a really good car. And I don't know what... I thought that you had done more work to it than you did, but it's really...
There's an exhaust that's been sitting behind Zach's desk for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
He might put that on at some point.
You know what I think it is that we're used to driving cars with electronic throttles, and that's still a cable throttle, and that's probably the difference for you.
Well, it's an enthusiast car.
Yeah, it is. Dude, we looked like two sort of kind of road cops that...
Excuse me, where can we buy cocaine?
Well, then we sat by the hotel.
we could buy some cocaine?
We were bullshitting for like 15, 20 minutes in front of the hotel, and it looked like we were on a stakeout. We were idling.
You gotta go to
in the
Dunkin'
luggage
Donuts
drop-off,
beforehand, set
and
the
no one
fucking
gives a
box straight
shit.
on the console.
Yeah.
You would look like a hell of a cop with a mustache.
Well, that's the thing. Well, now with the short hair, I can do the mustache, but I can't grow a mustache. It looks like I've been eating pudding. It's not. There's no or something else that. I was going with pudding. No, I don't know. It's
There's
one
been
thing
a lot
I
of
can't do.
requests recently for a one-take with the Crown Vic.
I got fluids. All the fluids are changed now. It's ready to go.
Can we make it look like it's been requested that you do it?
Oh,
You gotta do it.
I'll tell them about all the engine miles I've done. I was like, Mike, I'm not putting real money into this thing. What are you, nuts?
What is it, a Lexus?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't think you did like a cam. You know? It didn't feel.
Gail
cam.
Banks has a Marauder.
Yeah.
That's got a Terminator engine swap in it.
And he's like, and he wants to take the engine out eventually and put turbos on.
Well,
What are you gonna do with that?
He's gonna do a
Coyote.
Yeah.
Right, so that engine would just like be something.
I just got a twin turbo Terminator on the schedule.
Yeah.
I just drove a Terminator. I just drove a stock Terminator for the first time ever.
How was it?
It was cool. It's fast, but the gearing is so long that like it feels like third gear goes like 140 miles an hour. It's really, really crazy. Like you got to put a short rear end in that thing, and it'd just be a monster. But not like a shit box. I expected a fast shit box. It was not such a shit box. But the gear shifter and the pedals are awful. Like you have to reach really far to grab a gear, and then the pedals are spaced all fucking weird.
Fucking
But
Christ,
it's a drag
people.
car.
You're going up a fucking mountain. Why?
Really, 16?
I would drive the fuck
It's
out.
not fucking hard.
25.
Fuck.
There expensive for what you actually get.
Yesterday we were talking about high school cars because he had the 73 Buick.
73 Buick Century.
Like, you know, kind of built. Well, we both had like muscle car traits.
That was a lease at the time, right? Brand new.
But they feel indestructible.
Well,
Like
Stevie Nicks was like, "Are you really buying that car?" I said, "Stevie,
Say what Buick Century.
He said, "Is that 3 on the tree?"
And what's this note from Carrie Fisher?
Stand back. Is that 3 on the tree?
you know, Mike swapped in a 4-speed. He got rid of his
Yeah.
tree, put a
Took him his
4-speed in it.
Well, all right, so yeah, I mean, have I
Real shit. I
I don't think I've ever heard about your Buick Century.
my Buick Century?
I'm not even sure I gotta look up Mike
So
while
look
you're
up-
talking about it.
It's the car that if you're older than a certain age, it's Kojak's car from Kojak. If you're not in your late 60s,
Fucking retarded. Oh my fucking
Oh,
god.
you're the
One fucking car stalled out in the middle of the fucking freeway. You can't figure it the fuck out.
Not bad, actually. It's a great
70s car.
Oh my god, this thing is this shit. That okay, fuck. The color.
yes, that's it. There you go.
That is like Judge Reinhold fucking Fast Times.
I was
This was Spinelli McClure.
It's not, you know what? It's not bad in two-door form.
no, it's a really good looking car.
I think this picture was taken at Warm Springs.
That was an early car show. Used to test it was Life Motor.
Sports.
Oh
Oh my god, speaking of motoring, Sad has been fucking getting me into these best motoring videos, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know best motoring, but we just started watching them again because I bought the Skyline. So it's like, you know, they do some crazy shit in best motoring.
They're all
I love
pros.
the stock vehicle endurance race they do, which is awesome. They have like 4 brand new stock cars, and they do like a 20-lap battle in the Misu circuit and just fucking destroy all the cars. It was great, yeah. And they like a race.
I watched their big, like the OEM shows they would do, but they just put hot shoe drivers in there. It's like, let's zoom faster. Oh, look at the and the guy's like, you know, it's like, you know, a Nissan is trying to in front of the PRB, like, what the fuck? And it's just like a total throwdown.
Yeah. Did we watch the NSX versus R32? R32 smoked the NSX. Like by corner 1, it was just gone. And then we watched, what was the other one? There was like Evo, WRX, Integra Type R, and
I watched when
RX-8.
It was Japan's finest versus America's finest versus Europe's finest, and it was like I think it was like an Aston, an AMG car, like a C5 Corvette,
Yeah.
and a Viper,
Yeah.
and then I think it was an R32, and I want to say I think it was
Well,
an
every time
RX-6
a C5 would have been R34.
R34.
Yeah.
Maybe we should pitch this to Asia. Just
To American Best Motoring.
Yeah.
Top Chef. Best Motoring, I mean, I watched it such a long time ago. Going back on it, it's pretty badass.
Yeah. Those guys drive, like,
Yeah,
they're good.
loaded up with like all the pro drivers we know, and just
American Best Motoring America would be the shit.
You know, this is almost an easy pitch though.
You should be good at
Here's the thing: is you go to these guys that don't know anything about cars, and you go, you know how big Iron Chef was when they brought it here? We're going to do the same thing with the cars.
Yeah, and that's actually not, I mean, it's not a bad comparison. They like when you do, it's the blank of blank.
Yeah,
they love
that's
that.
Hollywood is
Or when you go, it's blank meets blank.
Right.
Where you go, it's the Muppets meets, you know, Celebrity House Flippers. And they go, yes, we can sell that.
I watched the fuck out of that show.
Hey, we need 6 toilets.
It's
Hey!
like introducing your kid to new food.
Smells like pork in here.
Like, here's your
Wait,
cheese.
wait,
I don't like
wait,
Brussels
wait,
sprouts. Like, do you like bacon? Yeah. Tastes like bacon. Okay.
They need Triumph to do the house flipper show. Triumph insult.
Try out the insult dog. Yeah. I'd
I'm
fucking.
fine.
Could you retain him as your agent?
Robert Smigel.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think you can get Rob Smigel.
Assholes.
Whose leg do I have to hump to get this house spinning?
You get fucking my friend Josh Altman on, and he's on that $1 Million Listing show.
Oh, that.
You know him?
Well, no, but I saw him. I saw you guys talking at Pebble Beach at the Jag thing.
Josh Altman's mother and my mother have been best friends for like 40 years. And so he came over for like Thanksgiving fucking forever ago.
Now, are you updating the counter for resale because you just fucked the homeowner's wife here when you made the sale?
In his suits, he probably did. He's got like, he's a fucking suits. He's got like.
You know, I watched that show for a while. I thought it was okay.
It's not bad.
I mean, I like trash
so
shit TV.
It's fucking crazy. He is so.
He seems to be good at the real estate game.
Yeah,
around here.
yeah.
You gotta do that, but somebody's gotta revive this whole house too. Just that whole.
There's a ton of this. Yeah.
This old shit box.
I saw your car show for the Buick was Car and Track.
Car and Track.
Car and Track.
Car and Track. It was like if you were kind of a World War II veteran at home on the couch in 1973, with a drinking a Pabst, perhaps. Yingling, you're watching your console television, and the Dodgers game just went off. Yeah, Car and Track.
I'm still thinking about I think the revival of Best Motoring should be high on our priority.
Brought to you by Car and
We
Track.
should really try and see if we can revive Best Motoring. Is it still on in Japan? Is there not a Best Motoring?
But why not?
Why not? I think it's like Ferrari.
Yeah.
So like 05?
I mean, think about it. You could rent a track for a week and bust out an entire season of shows.
Yeah, just go to all the different great tracks.
Final issue was 21.
Oh, so it was around fairly recently.
I mean, I think they would be up for a pitch to bring the franchise
Somebody,
over. What the
yeah.
hell? I mean, somebody owns the rights to it.
Right.
Might as well.
That seems fun. Pretty simple.
That's without a rate. They just drive the fuck out of the car.
Yeah, and then they didn't have like the GoPros and shit. Well, they did later, but the stuff we were watching in the early 90s, they didn't, and it was still entertaining. I mean, if you add modern cinematography to the just have the fucking race mentality of Best Motoring, like that's not.
And they have to acquire the rights from Tokyo Dolphin Canning Incorporated, and then you'll get Best Motoring.
Did an SXR Mega Battle.
Yeah,
American investor.
Mega battles. Oh, speaking of like how to make a car TV show, Richard Porter sent me his book.
Oh yeah.
You know Richard? Have you met him?
I've never met him, but
He's the nicest man in the entire world.
I hear he's awesome.
Richard Porter is a script editor for Top Gear for the entire Top Gear, and he wrote a book called "And on That Bombshell," and it's basically like a behind the scenes of the entire history of Top Gear, and it's really, really interesting. If you're a fan of Top Gear, I'm about halfway through it. If you're a fan of Top Gear, you will love it. If you're in the job that we have, you will find it absolutely invaluable as a resource.
Totally.
You learn so many things.
I have almost half of that book highlighted.
Really?
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, honestly, like there are things about the way they used to do stuff that's so different than you would think from watching it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it is very familiar for people like us, getting cars and not being able to get cars, and people getting mad when you make shit, and trying to find someone who thinks your idea is good, and like I definitely highlighted the passage where he said, we started with car nerds and like worked our way outward, because that's what I tried to tell people and fucking Neil Mann forever. And
that's why he's producing such high quality automotive programming right now.
Well, I saw a for rent sign on his building.
We've always been trying to convince people to do shit.
But the other thing was, I'm telling you, if you got this in the book, like you really learned that show would have never happened in America, because BBC gave them a lot of chances that no one would get here.
Yeah. It's the business of the BBC is completely different than the business of American media. It's just the nature of how it is.
Not just the BBC, British media in general is a completely different landscape than it is here.
Well, like they gave them 2 pilots. Like they made a pilot. It was shit. I think they bought the series anyway, despite they made another pilot that was supposedly worse, and then they got to air anyway.
People forget how rough Top Gear was until they revamped it too. I mean,
this is when they revamped it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like even before then, like it was a whole other show that was very mundane.
It was a lot more like Motor Week.
It was a magazine show.
Yeah.
I mean, what the BBC sort of used to think in the old days was that you use these they didn't call them reality shows, they called them fact based
Factual
shows.
programs.
Factual programming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was like
No, seriously.
PBS,
It was,
yeah, and so
that's how they based their budget on that it was factual programming.
Right.
Some of it's
So-
factual.
So it came out of the same budget as news, right? So
Yeah.
they were providing a public service, and that's why before in the old Top Gear, they always had cars that anyone can afford, and they always provided a solid review of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And then Clarkson came around and was like, and Willman, and they were
Yeah.
like, no, this is an entertainment.
They made it. Yeah, they reclassified it as like light entertainment or something, and that enabled them to get a lot more money. But like, there was shit that was like that they didn't think would work, and that worked and stuff. They really tried, and like a lot gets thrown out, and like you also learn as pertains to our current state of semi-employment. Everyone needs to be in the same goddamn building every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most important thing that there is. That because like every idea just comes from them like sitting around watching TV or reading news and yelling at each other until something funny happens. Like that shit, you need to be in the same.
Yeah, I love those scenes in the book of Hammond, Clarkson, and May just sitting around bullshitting for hours.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, yeah, we gotta go shoot. But like, the whole thing leading up to it is just them fucking off in this shitty.
It's doing exactly the same shit that we do
It's-
all fucking
Well,
day.
it's just they had a
all
budget,
day.
that's all.
It's just that somebody went, yes, that idea is worth throwing $100,000 at or whatever. Or like the stuff that is like almost unfathomable today.
But they didn't have really, they didn't have. It was all their offices were just crappy mobile homes. Like they didn't have like these plush kind of offices. You'd think that Top Gear is a big show, and they did it out of this sort of beautiful, or at least a loft space with foosball and shit.
He repeatedly describes their office and studio as utter shit.
An absolute shithole. and it was really about their attitude, the attitude that they brought to the show, and they had a very specific thing, and they were going to never deviate from this kind of irreverent thing that they created, and that's the yardstick they used to define whether a show was going to be aired or not.
And also, I thought, before I read the book, I thought that a lot of their destructive stuff, like, I thought that they spent more money than they spent, actually. They spent more money than we have. They spent more money than most cable people get. But, like, the star and a reasonably priced cars, like, they didn't buy that. That was provided by Suzuki, and they had to, like, beg them for it. And a guy put his job on the line to give them that car. And, like, the cars they played, like, car football with, press cars. Those are press cars, and they had to apologize a lot. Just destroying them. Like, shit like that. Like, there's a lot of, like, crazy stuff that you go, they must have just bought the car because, but it's like, no, they creatively got, like, dollar cars to destroy, and, like, they found cars fucking all over the place, but it's it doesn't require a lot of money, less than you probably think, in order to, but it does require some, and it requires actual time and energy, and it seems like they were workaholics too. It seems like they were working a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they would come up with stuff and throw it out. Like they came up with the idea of getting a double-decker bus. Did you get to that part?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the bus yet. I saw in the photographs, so like in the middle, and there's a reference to this bus that was unused, and I was like, I wonder if I'll get to that, because that looks funny, and I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, it's I'll just say, because I don't want to ruin it. It's funny because it's something that they spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make a good segment with that bus, and they ended up just saying, screw it, this sucks.
Yeah.
And they parked it under a tree and they never used it. But like that's the thing, it's like they didn't have to use that segment.
Yeah.
Like we would have to use that segment.
Yeah.
It's like we would be like, okay, we gotta come up with a segment. If it doesn't work, we still have to use it.
Like they came up with like the cool wall as literally a time filler.
Yeah.
They were like, we need to fill 6 minutes in this episode. Cool wall. Like that's what that became. And like
It became.
and people liked it for a while, and then it sucked, and they got rid of it. And actually, I read that they were going to bring back the cool wall right before Jeremy got fired. But it's really interesting to learn about that show, and Richard is such a good writer.
Yeah. That's the thing. He makes it look so easy. I mean, the thing about Porter is that even on Sniff Petrol, like whatever he does, he just, I'm sure it's tough because, yeah, I mean, writing sucks. We all know it. But the way that he just makes it look effortless. And then you go, oh, well, he's kind of a really big part of the script.
Yeah.
And so
But there's also, it seems like there's a lot of researching that goes on, and like the links they kept talking about all the time looking into people, because like how to link this, come out of this piece and into this studio piece, and then link that to the news segment, and then link that to the next. So it's like these link lines that have to keep it always. So it's just a neat way to think about the production of the show.
And they did it really concisely. Usually one line would get them from that thing to this thing.
Right.
And it was as good as you could do that. You're like,
right.
wow, that was real short. They still did it.
Probably wrote 50 others.
Yeah, it was writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. It's I'll pass the book around when I'm done with it. Sorry, Richard, you're only going to sell one to us.
If it was a signed copy, maybe.
No, truth be told, I didn't even pay for this one. Did he send you one? He sent me one.
Well, I got it on my on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Kindle thing?
Kindle, yeah, my Kindle.
Oh, ours came in a box with a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
We'll all read it, and then maybe we'll give it away to a fan or something, or I'll ask Richard for a copy or two. But it's called and on that bombshell, it is by Richard Porter. It's available on Amazon, I assume, wherever the fuck you buy books. It'll probably be a bestseller, I imagine. People love fucking Top Gear.
It's the number one rated television show in the world.
The Stig wrote a bestseller, and
Oh man, I really fucking hate driving in LA, dude. People just suck. Ugh. Alrighty. Well, good night.